Joe Pleban. I'm on the US Paralympic national snowboard team. So I race border cross and bank slalom for Team USA. Okay, so the quote that stuck with me the most was the Invictus poem, and especially the part about I'm the master of my fate, I'm the captain of my soul. I originally found out I had PVNS back when I was a teenager, but even before that, I was having ankle issues kind of growing up. The day after my high school graduation, I was wakeboarding. I tried this crazy trick and really into action sports as a kid and teenager, and I came down and I actually broke my left ankle. Well past the time that it was supposed to have healed fully, my left ankle was still messed up. And so they did MRIs, they did x-rays, all that, and finally they cut open my ankle, stuck a camera in there, and found a bunch of tiny little tumors in my joint. The only way that they realized that was TGCT, at the time it was called PVNS, but the only way they realized it was the ankle doctor had a friend who is also a doctor who had attended a conference who had heard of PVNS. Well, what is that? What are we talking about here? What are we looking at? And he explains it, all these tumors, they're destroying your joint. That's why it's not healing properly. Back then, it was very unknown. And so there wasn't like oh yeah, this is the road forward. Like, we've dealt with this a ton. We know what we're doing. I was more like, this is what we're going to try. But from what we're reading, this doesn't look great. And I just remember it was heartbreaking because it went from this easy, simple, broken ankle, you'll get over it, to no, you're looking at now a lifelong issue that's going to destroy your joint over time. And I remember leaving the doctor's office and getting in the car and just crying, like I just lost it. I'm about to tear up just thinking about it now. It was, honestly, it was heartbreaking. If I really look back and think at it, I don't think I coped that well with it, honestly. I had the Facebook group, so I knew there were other people out there that had it, but I didn't know of anyone in my immediate area that had it. They went into my ankle joint and cleaned out all the tumors as much as they could. But one of the things with TGCT is that, at least for me, it grows back very rapidly, even if you leave like the tiniest little shred in there. And so for me, within 6 months, it'd fully grown back. Still a ton of tumors. We went into another surgery, once again, cleaned out as much as they could, recovered, and within 6 to 8 months, grew all back, tons of tumors in the joint. And at that point, we went into radiation therapy. The tumors were gone, so it was definitely successful. It was awesome. However, the tumors had destroyed my joint. Throughout the process of the surgeries, the radiation treatment, I competed in wakeboarding contests. I was really good at snowboarding. Snowboarding was my favorite sport. I played rugby in college. I swam, I played soccer, and I was slowly watching my ability to play sports go away. First, it was rugby. Next, it was wakeboarding. Next it was soccer, and I was just slowly losing these sports, but I was holding on to the ability to snowboard. And finally, it got to the point where I lost snowboarding, and it was devastating. And I remember I was sitting on the couch in the condo just crying because I was like, don't take this from me. Like, this is the last sport I can do. This is my favorite sport. And so at that point, it was like, we need to take drastic measures. Total ankle replacement was not an option, mainly because of my activity level. The other option that they were coming up with was ankle fusion. And so that's where you screw all the ankle bones together and they eventually fuse so that they're no longer rubbing together, but you don't have any of that ankle flexion, ankle movement anymore. At the time, the X Games were on, and I was actually watching, they used to have adaptive border cross in the X Games. And I was watching these guys with below knee amputations, riding down a border cross course, breakneck speed. I'm like, okay, all right, okay, I see what's going on here. And so I'm asking surgeons, all right, what about cutting it off at this point? And we had to find the right surgeon to do it because a lot of them were saying, you're too young, we don't feel comfortable cutting someone's foot off when there are other options. Like cutting a foot off is like the end game. And I walked into his office, I sat there like getting ready to have to convince him, go through this whole story. He goes, if you have gone through enough that you're now sitting here with me telling me you want an amputation, you're not crazy. You've been through hell. It went smoothly, and I remember waking up and like looking forward to everything that was coming. The advice would be find surgeon, doctor, whoever, who understands it and knows what they're doing, isn't guessing at it. Also, find that community. Yeah, that's the biggest one over, the doctor and everything, is finding that community of people who have been through it, who are going through it, that have the tips and the tricks, and this is what my doctor did and it worked. Okay, cool, I'm going to take that to my local doc and say, hey, can we try this out? That Life Raft group it's awesome. Oh my gosh, there's a whole support group. Like, this is crazy. I was just on the Facebook page before. It's like, there's this whole support group. That PVNS is Pants group is awesome. They're posting constantly. And if you can get on there and find someone local that you sit down and have coffee with, I'd say that's the biggest thing, is staying in touch with other people who are affected by this disease, because it helps your mental state so much to know you're not the only one going through it. Losing that control and then gaining it back was so huge. And even before we really decided on the amputation, that quote of being the master of your fate, being the captain of your soul, like, I'm in charge of this. Whatever happens, we're going to figure it out.